So you're thinking about moving to Leavenworth, Kansas. Well, in this video, we are gonna take you all around Leavenworth, Kansas. We're gonna take you to some different neighborhoods and show you some houses at different price points so you can see what might fit your budget. And then if you stick around to the end, I'm gonna show you some of Leavenworth's best kept secrets, and you're not gonna wanna miss that. We're gonna get going right now. Hey, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, or the surrounding areas like Leavenworth, Kansas, then click subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications so you can be the first to know of the current market here in the Kansas City area. My name is Zach Morton. My business partner Max Jones, the team and I have been helping people move to Kansas City for over 20 years, and we absolutely love it. We get calls, texts, emails from people just like you every single day, and that's what makes us tick. So whether you're moving in 3 days or 3 months, give us a call, shoot us a text. All that information is in the description below so we can connect and help you with a smooth transition into Kansas City. All right, today we're gonna be talking about Leavenworth, and we are gonna look at the map. So let's dive in. Show you, it's right here. It's outlined in red dots, and I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so you can see where it is in relationship to Kansas City or the city center. As you can see right here, it's just to the north and to the west of Kansas City. Now, I wanna point out a couple things. I'm gonna draw I did say it was on the Kansas side. Right here is the Missouri River, and this is the border of Kansas and Missouri up to about where my pencil is now, and then the state line just drops straight down all the way through. So we've got Kansas City, Missouri is gonna be on the north and east side, and Kansas City, Kansas is gonna be on the southwest side. So Kansas City, Kansas is right here. And then we've got the kidney-shaped Kansas City, Missouri on this side, and said Kansas City's right in the middle. So getting to Leavenworth, we're just gonna be to the northwest a little bit. It's about a 45-minute drive, not that you can go as the crow flies, but to get to Leavenworth right from downtown city center. So just keep that in mind. Let me clean this up. We'll zoom in a little bit on what we call the Northland if you're a local. And that's basically just anything north of the river. So when you're out here, you're gonna hear people say, I live up north or I live down south. It doesn't really mean Kansas or Missouri. It's just kind of north of the river. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're talking with the locals and asking people where they live, because that'll come up a lot when you're looking at places. So first of all, you're probably gonna be flying in or driving in. And if you are flying in, you are gonna be landing. Right here is our Kansas City Airport. It's in the Northland. So if you like to travel, living close to the airport is something to keep in mind. It's pretty easy to get to. We've talked about this in the vlog and some of our other videos that we've done, but just to touch on it quickly, there is a highway called 435, and it loops all the way around the city center. So it's a way to get around the city to avoid some of the congestion and the rush hour traffic that kind of funnels right down the middle. So just keep that in mind. If you have to travel around, you don't necessarily have to go right through the city, especially during rush hour. So if you land at the airport and you're wanting to get to Leavenworth, the first thing you're gonna have to do is you're gonna hop on I-29, which is a nice 4-lane highway, and you're gonna head north. Get off around Platte City, and at this point, this is where Leavenworth is pretty close to the city. However, it's not all 4-lane highways that are nice, easy, relaxing drive. You don't have to think, everything's pretty straight. What you find when you get off here at Platte City, or if you're coming in from the south down here, is that you're gonna have 2-lane, like country. You're still gonna be at speeds at 55 miles an hour or so, but it's the 2-lane roads without much of a shoulder, probably a gravel shoulder. And we're talking farmland too. So it's not like every time you're gonna get stuck behind a tractor, but there are times if you're traveling back and forth from the city, if you're commuting, that could be possible. So just something to keep in mind. That's why it takes a little longer to get there, even though it's relatively close. So you've got a country highway that cruises through here. You pop across the bridge, and then you're right down into downtown Leavenworth. So that's one of the ways to get there. You can also come off 435, and then you can come up here off of I-70 and shoot in to Leavenworth as well. So those are kind of your main ways. And again, you know, no matter which way you go, there's no 4-lane highway right into Leavenworth. So that's where it's going to take a little time. Once you get down to I-70, which is our major highway system that goes east to west across the state, or you get over here to I-29, you're connected to 4 lanes everywhere. So it's going to be easy travel. And once you get there, it's just getting out of there. That's something to keep in mind. You do have lots of ways out, so you don't have to worry. If there's also this way that you can come down and kind of go through Parkville, and there's a couple ways you can shoot off. So if for any reason you're looking at your Google Maps in the morning and you can tell like, oh no, there's a traffic jam or something crazy, you've got lots of options to get out of here to get to the city. That's just something I want you to keep in mind. So I think we've probably talked about that enough. Let's zoom in here a little bit and get into Leavenworth in a little more detail. All right, you can see as the crow flies, it's super close to the airport, but you know, you're still probably 15, 20 minutes to get there. All right, so first, as you notice, here we are. This is the city of Leavenworth. Now there's the city, which is smaller. It's about 25 square miles. And then you have the county of Leavenworth, which is almost 5 times that size. Let me type that in real quick so you can get an idea, and then we'll go back to the city. So as you can see, the county is, well, more than 5 times that size. It's pretty massive. So anybody in here might have a Leavenworth address, especially in this area right here. As you get closer to Baser and Tonganoxie, of course, they're going to have that as well, but that's just something to keep in mind. So let's go back into the city, and some of the houses that we're going to show you around. If you go to our vlog, a couple of them are going to be around downtown. We also took you out in the outskirts because a lot of these properties, once you get outside of the city, if acreage is your thing, you're going to be able to find some acreage. And in fact, in our vlog, we touched on a house that was on 5 acres and 5,000 square feet that is a pretty cool spot, so worth checking out. So as soon as you come across this bridge on 92, there's, like I said, there's a couple ways to get there. You're going to come right into town. So as you're coming in from the airport, or however you get there, you're coming down 92, you're going to cross the bridge right into Leavenworth. As soon as you get over the bridge, you're in Leavenworth. To your left is going to be downtown, down here, and to your right is the Fort Leavenworth base, or the military base. So this was the first building ever built in Leavenworth, which is the oldest city in Kansas, was built on this base. So a lot of history here. And this base was originally put in place to protect travelers that were on the Santa Fe Trail. We've done a vlog on Overland Park, Kansas, where we're standing right on Santa Fe, the street where the trail ran through. But this base was originally put here to protect the travelers and the settlers as they were moving out west. The Overland Trail, the Oregon Trail, and the Santa Fe Trail all overlap and kind of one and the same, but that's originally why this base was put here, and it still takes up a massive footprint. It's almost half, I think in square miles, it's half the size of the city of Leavenworth. So it takes up a lot of space and is also the #1 employer for Leavenworth. So keep that in mind. This is a military town. Now, a lot of people, Fort Leavenworth is known as the intellectual center for the Army and the military, and the reason that is they've got a lot of schools and colleges, so they'll send people in for training. So there's a lot of people that are coming in either for 2 years or 4 years, or maybe even a year. Then they're not staying forever, which makes the city of Leavenworth pretty big on rentals. It's about 50% rental and 50% homeowners that are living there. And what we'll see a lot of people doing, whether you want to rent or whether you want to buy, but it's a great place to make an investment if you are in the military and you do have to be there for 2 years or 4 years. What we'll see people do is buy, and then when they leave, they will turn around and rent this property out because they're renting it to military folks who in general take great care of the property. If they don't, for whatever reason, it gets reported to their superior and it doesn't look good on their record. So just something to keep in mind if you want to get involved in investing in real estate. This might be a great spot. There's also, besides Leavenworth, if you are in the military, since it's such a big impact on this area, there's a city over here called Platte City that a lot of military folks will choose to commute from. It's about a 20-minute commute, 15-minute commute, something like that. Because they living on the Platte City side, you're going to be a little closer to this major highway that gets you downtown and all the fun stuff that Kansas City offers. and you avoid that. So a little bit more modern over here, a little bit more upbeat, up pace, some more modern amenities, but there's plenty of stuff going on in Leavenworth too. If you're into that small town vibe, they've definitely got that going on. So we're gonna zoom in a little closer here. Right out of the gate, just something to know is that Leavenworth does not have a main street, but for the most part, most of the action you're gonna find is down here on 4th Street. It does have a 28 block kind of entertainment district that's full of restaurants, shops, bars. They'll do parades and festivals, and a lot of military stuff will be going down there. So this is kind of the spot to hang out. You'll see, we've talked about in our vlog on Leavenworth, the diversity of restaurants. There's a Jamaican place, there is a Thai restaurant, we've got an Irish pub right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. A Korean spot. So you can see there's that Thai spot, we've got Mexican, just all kinds of food just right here in this little shopping district where this is Cherokee and 4th. There's some Italian food, so you get the idea. I'm kind of making myself hungry here. And then there's a short walk, just a couple blocks, and you are down by the riverfront. There is walking trails. They go all the way up and down this and into town and under bridges that are really nice and cool. There is a museum if you're coming here for your first time, and you're into carousels. I don't know, they make me sick, so I'm not going in there, but there's a carousel museum. There is also something worth looking up when you get to Leavenworth is the Caroll mansion, and that is a famous mansion. It's one of the oldest homes here that's been very well kept and maintained, and a lot of the artifacts from when people leave and a lot of the documents from the generations people had in their attic, they go to leave and they don't want this stuff to just be destroyed or lost. They'll take it to this mansion and it's put on display. So it's a great place to go get a little bit of history of Leavenworth. And one of the stepping stones out front was actually, it came from a different property in the area, but they put the stepping stones out front of this mansion, and it's one that Abraham Lincoln stood on when he made a famous speech. So if you want to follow in his footsteps, go check that out. There is also a community center that sits right down here by the river. It was the old depot train station, and they have converted that. It's a real cool building, but they've converted that into a public recreational center for the city. So inside that, it's kind of like a YMCA, but private. It's you've got pool, indoor pool, racquetball. There's a walking track inside. I think like 10 laps is a mile if I remember right. There's different classes that go on, karate, gymnastics. So all kinds of things that you might think to find at classes and all that you'd find at a community center. So that's right downtown as well. And then as far as the housing, so this is, like I said, one of the first cities in Kansas. As you start to get out, a lot of these homes were built 100, 150 years ago, right? And this is the big grid. So you're gonna find a lot of older homes, like Victorian style homes and bungalows, and a lot of the older homes that you're gonna find on these little bitty city blocks. Some of them are great. Some of these streets will have, the whole street will be nothing but beautiful Victorian homes, $400,000 to $500,000, and kept perfectly restored, nice, and look great. Some of these are going to be hit or miss. I know the one that was on the market when we were doing our vlog is it's a nice home. It's been totally rehabbed and new construction to a 100-year-old home and looked great, but you never know about your neighbors, so that's always something you got to keep in mind. Those streets can be hit or miss. So what we see a lot of people doing is they go out just west a little bit, and as you get a little further away, the grid spreads out a little more, and you're gonna find more of that post-war kind of ranch style homes that were built in the 50s and 60s. And as you get further out here, you're gonna find those. They're still gonna be affordable. You're gonna be able to get into that for like the 225s to 300 for your average, like 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a garage or two. In the kind of a more modern ranch style. We've got the Aquatic Center right here. There's all kinds of parks. I think there's 28 parks. I could be off by a couple parks within Leavenworth. So just something to keep in mind. There's a lot of parks, a lot of outdoor stuff, trails. There's a water park with water slides for the kiddies. So all kinds of good stuff there, which you really would want to take advantage of it if that's important to you, because it is a little bit of a jaunt to get out of town and get down to those places. So same as we start going further south, you can see that the grid just starts to spread out a little bit. As it does, the houses get a little newer, and then you're gonna get into some newer subdivisions where everything's more modern. We went through one on our vlog that was built in 2017 that was just out here. And the further south you go, the closer you're gonna get to some of the shopping that's located down in this area. So right here, as you can see, if you pop on 73 and just shoot down, you're gonna end up at the Kansas Speedway, and right next to that is the outlet. It's called the Legends, which is a big shopping outlet. I'm gonna zoom in just to show you everything that's there. You can spend a whole day here eating out. Let's see, it's a great place for kids. You've got your Target, your Aldi's, Sam's Club. We've got Nebraska Furniture Mart, which is a huge furniture store, plenty of food. There is, I can't remember the name of the restaurant. I used to take my kids there when they were little, but there's one with, I think it's called T-Rex. I think it's still around, but it has a huge dinosaur and dinosaur themed restaurant. So all kinds of fun stuff. Take the kids out and have a good time. And then that puts you right at the highway of 435 and I-70, which is quick access to anywhere in the Kansas City. We've got lakes, your I-70 right into downtown. We've got Overland Park to the south, and we'll also just shoot you up to the Northland if that's what you want to do. So close to a lot of stuff. I think the main point is this is just a smaller town feel. As you get outside of this, you're gonna see a lot of farms, right? A lot of farms, little houses sitting on them, sitting on 100 acres or so. A lot of the crops that they're gonna be growing, you will see cattle, you'll see corn, you'll see soybeans, you'll see wheat. Some people plant sunflowers. That's the state flower for Kansas, so you can see a lot of that. And then you've got the Missouri River bottoms that kind of run right through here as well. You know, back to downtown, we talked in our vlog tour about the hauntings. This is one of the oldest cities, is the oldest city in Kansas. And with that comes some ghost stories. So you definitely want to go downtown and start asking around about the ghosts, because there's several places that are haunted. We have haunted properties on the base as well as downtown. There is a sweets shop downtown. Where are we? That she's baking, so she's in there early in the morning and constantly hears footsteps and things going boom, and things dragging as she's in there in the morning, you know, mixing her ingredients to get the donuts and the cakes and all the baking goods going. So that's kind of interesting. There used to be, let me get back here to 4th Street. So as you can see how close this was to the river. So there's a lot of history that are involved. You'll also see a lot of names of street names or city names, basically just in the Kansas City area, also Leavenworth, that are Native American names, because this was the Plains Indians. There were several tribes that lived all over the state of Missouri and Kansas. In fact, I have been out, and it's not totally uncommon to be out walking through the woods, or, you know, we'll do a lot of mushroom hunting and deer hunting and things like that happen out here, but you can find arrowheads and Indian artifacts. So I found a couple in my lifetime. I know some farmers that are friends of mine, and my grandpa had a farm, and he was always coming across arrowheads. So it's not uncommon to find, like we have Ottawa, Kickapoo, guarantee you those are tribes or Indian. We've got the Osage, I know that it's the Osage tribe. So a lot of the names all around Kansas City you're gonna find are Native American names, which is pretty cool that they have kept that history remembered by naming some of those towns and streets and all that. All right, so you can see how close we are to the river. A lot of trade was going through here. This was the reason they put the fort there, is because it's close to the river. Boats were going up and down. And there was also the Underground Railroad. There was on 4th Street here, there were some tunnels that went under the street to the shops, and that the restaurants and the shop owners would use to move stuff back and forth. And then as time progressed, when the Underground Railroad was happening, literally underground, historians believe that was used to move people back and forth and keep people hidden and out of sight. Since then, those tunnels, I have been told, are all filled in, but you know, who knows? That's just the word on the street. All right, I think that pretty much sums up. If you have any questions, we've got A-rated schools. The average teacher per student ratio is 12-to-1, which is really good. And they're just under the average spend per student for the nation. But I think when you take into the fact that the cost of living, the prices are way more reasonable in Leavenworth than you're gonna find, or I should say your dollar goes a lot further. And if you check on our vlog tour, you'll be able to see that as we show you a couple of houses at different price points and then just the price per square footage of what you can get here versus living closer to the city. So if that's important to you, you're not too concerned, you want kind of a quieter lifestyle, kind of, you know, give me some elbow room, I wanna get a little bit away from town, just have a slower pace of life, I think that's what you're gonna find here in Leavenworth. There's really no attractions that's gonna bring you. I only go to Leavenworth when I am showing properties, and most of the time, or helping people sell properties, and most of the time it's somebody that is either in the military or was in the military, and maybe they've retired out there, they stayed, and now they're ready for their next chapter. So those are usually the reasons I go. There's no other major attractions. So if you just want to kind of keep to yourself, do your thing. I will say that, you know, every summer, about half the town, I've heard comments from people, and I've seen it with rental properties as well. Well, half the town will kind of shift out because, you know, they're relocating. Half the town's military, and every year things change, and a lot of them are moving out. And it's usually like June and July-ish, kind of those summer months is when they get relocated. So just keep that in mind. If you're in the military, then you're already used to it, but there will be a lot of turnover from that. But as far as the people that are kind of settling in, it's a great place to retire, low taxes, your dollar goes a long way. It's a pretty quiet, sleepy town. Everybody minds themselves. Everybody's super, it's kind of that Midwest mentality. Everybody's really nice and respectful, and yes ma'am and thank you and all that good stuff. All right, well, I think that pretty much sums it up for Leavenworth. If you found this video useful, please give us a thumbs up, hit that like button. If you live in Leavenworth and you have some pros or cons or comments or something you want to add, maybe something I missed, feel free to drop it in there below. I'd love to get a discussion going about it. And if there's anything I can do to help you move into the Kansas City area and make that transition smooth, don't forget to reach out. All of our information is in that description below. We'll see you next time.